Hey, what's up? This is Armenia here. This week we've got a bumper episode of winter ready pickups covering everything from sneakers to hoodies to t-shirts to jackets to accessories. We're pretty much covering everything here with some interesting materials, cool little bits of functionality, and some of those small details that you might not find in your conventional stuff. Most of this stuff is designed to both look good and help keep you warm and cozy, which is just perfect because good lord has it been cold in the UK recently. A few of these things were sent over by different brands, so I'll mention when that is the case, but let's hop right in to some cool stuff that I'll be wearing to keep me warm this winter. First thing is the obligatory acronym pickup, a relatively small one this time, but I'm still financially recovering from the J16. This is the NG4-PS. This is a net gaiter, comes in at around $200, so this and the sneakers are pretty much the cheapest entry point into the Acronym brand, but undoubtedly gives you a taste of their signature design philosophy and aesthetic that has made Acronym so well regarded in this space. But what makes this different to your standard issue $5 Amazon ting? Well, let's take a look. The big thing is this zip that runs down the front. It's very aggressive, it's kind of intimidating looking, which I quite like. This came in 3 different colours. I've gone for the olive one here. You've got this olive tape running down. There was also a black and gold version if you're feeling a little bit fancy, or a black and silver one if you hate colours. Number one question, doesn't the zip get annoying going in front of your face? Actually no, because luckily there is a fleece backed section which covers the zip, so although you can feel at the top of your nose the zip a little bit when it's done up, it's not really uncomfortable by any means, so yeah, that's all fine and good. Number 2 question, perhaps the more interesting one, what is the point of this thing? Well, by being able to split the gaiter in half at the front means that you can wear this in multiple ways. If it's a little bit too hot, you don't want it over your face, you can split this and wear it more like a scarf instead. And because of the weight of this zip track on each side, it's going to help keep that in place over your shoulders. Hangs very naturally, gives you a bit of comfort and warmth around the neck without giving you that super close hugging feeling that your average neck gaiter is going to give you, and it might be a little bit too much even if you've pulled it off the face. For that reason, it makes for a really cool layering piece with surprising versatility. I've worn this in quite a few different outfits already, but you can have this fully done up, fully unzipped, kind of halfway between the two. You can almost use it as a bit of a collar extension to give you a bit of a Dracula vibe going on, which is pretty cool. Ergonomically shaped as well, you can see this big curve at the top here, so it's designed to be worn very high on the head, and for that reason it keeps it fairly secure, better than your average neck gaiter, I think. And that's also helped by the Polartec power stretch material here. As you can see, it is pretty lightweight but also incredibly stretchy, so it's going to conform and sort of wrap nice and tightly around your head as well without being too constricting. Also fleece lined in the inside here, so next to skin, and it's got to go around your face of course, it's still pretty nice and comfy. One more thing to mention, Orc zip on the back means that you can hook this up to some compatible Acronym and Nike Lab ACG jackets. Not really made too much use of this because I've enjoyed switching this up and using it with a bunch of different jackets, but if you know you're only going to use it with one, then maybe that's worth a go, I guess. So for fans of the brand, it's going to make a fun pickup that fits very nicely into the Acronym ecosystem. If the brand is not normally in your budget though, I would not be rushing out to buy something like this for what is effectively a very expensive accessory, just for the sake of having something Acronym. Polartec is something we'll be talking more about this week. They're a material brand with a bunch of different fabric technologies under their wing, of which Power Stretch is one. They were kind enough to send over a couple of other bits from various brands, which we'll take a look at in a sec, and I did a little podcast with them as well, so hopefully that will be out soon too. Firstly, you might remember a while back we did a paid feature with Vitali and their futuristic jewellery, and since then I've pretty much been wearing their stuff all year, so I'm very pleased to say that Vitali are once again very kindly the paid sponsors of this video, so we have some cool new stuff to check out. And I've got a discount code for you guys as well, because people do ask fairly frequently where I get this stuff from, so now you've got a good excuse. We've got a few here to take a look at, first of which I am wearing here the Fray. It's a 2-part set with very angular, aggressive looks, almost kind of barbed wire-like. They make a real statement, so they work great worn together, and you don't really need anything else on the hand, because let's face it, these things are doing a lot of work. We then have the Shatter, which I've got here on the other hand. It's a little bit more organic, it's kind of twisting, but still very futuristic. It's got a kind of liquid metal vibe about it. Conscious as well, I didn't have much wrist wear apart from my lovely G-Shock here, so also, they sent over the strain bracelet as well, which you can see here. It's quite thin compared to what I expected, so I think it works quite well as someone that is maybe not really used to wearing stuff like this, as I'm not, or even if you've got something that is a bit bigger as a bit of a statement piece, this would sort of fit alongside it and not really take up too much of the attention. And at the small end, I got these two rings, which I really like the look of. We've got the inverse and the helix, one of them very geometric and one of them very organic. I wanted these ones to go on my pinkies on the basis that all of my other rings are very much focused on the big fingers. I kind of estimated the sizing, and clearly I have very dainty, ladylike pinky fingers because these are a little bit on the big side. So I think in the summer, when my hands are a bit, warmer, these will probably fit a little bit better, but in the meantime, seeing my girlfriend eyeing these up, so she will definitely be stealing these, I'm sure. I'll definitely be making good use of these going forwards. I think they're a really nice next step to the very clean and very basic things that I went for last year. If this stuff sounds up your street, then definitely check out the link in the description, and most importantly, use code ThisIsAntwon20 and get yourself 20% off. I genuinely do feel like you get pretty nice stuff for the money, so if you're interested in experimenting with jewelry a little bit more, then they are worth a shot, especially if you're getting a nice little discount. Let's talk more about Polartec based stuff though, since we're all about keeping warm and cozy this episode. First up, we've got a couple of hoodies, the first of which is the Houdini Mono Air Zip Up Hoodie. This is very much an under the jacket option. It's got a very slim fit, it's quite thin, it also has these little thumb holes as well. This one's made of Power Air Light, so it's fairly lightweight but still has a little bit of warmth to it. You can see on the inside there it's got this kind of quilted construction, which is pretty nice, and then a harder, more durable face fabric here. It kind of behaves like micro fleece but doesn't have the same look, so much more appropriate for fans of utilitarian or ultra modern fashion. My favourite of the two hoodies though is this Mission Workshop one here. This is made of Wind Pro Hardface, so on the inside, nice lightweight fleece, real comfy next to skin, but then you've got this far more closed structure on the inside designed for wind resistance, making something like this perfect as an outer layer. And also, because of that sort of external fabric weight, it has a little bit more structure and a bit more of an interesting drape compared to a traditional cotton. Gives it an overall very sleek appearance, and that is mirrored by the hood here. Not only do you have no drawstrings, which keeps the front of this looking very plain, but you've got this nice sort of crossover of material here. You've got this very clean sort of geometric angled slash that comes across. And yeah, I think that looks really nice. Also, something like this, for that reason, is going to fit real nicely worn under a bomber jacket, for example, so it just draws attention to that neck area a little bit more. Also important here is the lack of kangaroo pocket. Again, keeping the front very, very minimal, nice clean aesthetic, because at the back, you've got this little hidden baby pocket here, so you can still carry stuff in this if you want to, but it keeps it out of the way a little bit. If you do carry something, it stops it flapping around the stomach area when you move as well, which is always welcome. Both of these were around $200, so yes, more than a conventional hoodie, but I think the potential for wearability here is so high, it really is one of those things that you could pick up and end up just living in pretty much all season. I have been wearing this a pretty massive amount over the last month or two. They also sent over a couple of their reigning champ tees. I'm only holding one because I'm wearing the other. They're made of this Delta material, which is this super nice woven knit. I mean, you can see this up close. It has this really nice texture to it, especially in grey. It's almost kind of hypnotizing looking at this thing up close. The material is pretty breezy. It has some thickness to it, but it's still very lightweight feeling as well. So as a result, it drapes very nicely, and the overall cut is pretty flattering, I think, as well. That interesting up close texture makes them both look and feel equally premium. These came in at $90 each, so again, it's more expensive than your sort of conventional t-shirt option, but I think if you compare this to some other performance t-shirts in this space, we've covered things from Valence and Outlier, it's very much in line with those, if not at the lower end. I've heard a lot of people talk positively about Reigning Champ being a really good, high quality basics brand, and I certainly get that impression from these two pieces here. Definitely something that I'm keen on trying out more of. One more recent t-shirt release, and I know t-shirts don't necessarily count as winter clothing, but I was just excited to show this one off, is the restock of the Aoku dry skin tee. They were kind enough to send this one over a couple of weeks ago. Yes, that's the same shoulder dry skin commonly used by brands like Acronym with cargo pants and stuff like that, but this is a little bit of a thinner material. So what you'll find still has a lot of those good characteristics of dry skin. It's nice and stretchy, it has this nice characteristic drape to it, you get this real solid matte black colour, and it's water resistant as well if you happen to spill anything on this, but that slight lighter fabric weight, so more appropriate t-shirt and a little bit more pliable to be wearing as a t-shirt. Extended length as well makes this great as a layering piece. The natural comparison is to the Acronym S24, which came out earlier this year, another dry skin t-shirt. On those ones you have the more complex articulation pattern at the arms, making it a bit more comfortable to move around in, as well as the split hem at the bottom as well, which is kind of dropped a bit further down at the back. So that one is perhaps a little bit more advanced, but on this version, well, you do have the back tape that runs down there, so you've got a bit of an interesting aesthetic touch you don't have on the Acronym version, and these do come in cheaper as well. So it's a nice option for experimenting with a pretty interesting material in this nice, interesting, light fabric way, just something a little bit different, quite unique. One of the things I was mega excited about getting some experience with is a new Coat et Ciel bag. This one is the Isar Air. They were, again, very kind to send me not one, but two of these, which is why we still have the one in the background there. We've got the black version in the back, we've got the grey version here as well. You might have seen from the Nile video that I was a big fan of that bag and this brand in general, and I think these new options do not disappoint. This is effectively an update of the Isar, which is, I think, their most popular bag, certainly one of their best known ones, with this very distinctive asymmetrical shape with this kind of like jutting out, very angular section on one side. We're combining that great architectural design and unusual form with some new features designed for more intense use and quicker use as well. Because for me, one of the few things that I wasn't a fan of with the Nile is that it does take a little bit of time to access the contents of the bag. Well, not the case here, because both of the main zips are extremely easy to access, both being present on the side here with nothing covering them. And for this model, they've added a sternum strap as well with a new design that I've never seen before. What they do here is essentially have a clip that attaches to each side of the main strap rather than having something that attaches in the middle. So it makes it very, very easy to fully remove this strap if you prefer the look of having no strap, but you can connect it from one side to the other extremely quickly too. You get that same feeling of speed looking at the bottom of the strap here. They've added these pull cords so that you can very quickly adjust the length of the main straps. It's essentially the lightweight sport version of the conventional Coat et Ciel bag, which absolutely appeals to me. I think it's got a load of cool functionality, it looks great, and yeah, that speed of use element is definitely something that I'm interested in. This grey marl version feels very sort of business appropriate in nature, so although the black version is my favourite and one that you'll probably see me wearing quite a lot going forward, this version I think really subdues that unusual shape that you've got on the Isar, to the point that if you're, commuter type, you're not really interested in doing any sort of crazy fashion stuff, but you just want something that looks a bit cool, then this I think is going to fit right into your conventional outfit and not really draw too much attention while still having that unique element which you're just not going to see out there from other brands. You do have quite a few internal organizational options in here. You've got this big fat pocket at the front, you've got one at the back here which has a laptop sleeve compartment, a couple of other sub pockets as well, but it's not the biggest bag in the world by capacity alone. The Nile is definitely the option if you want to carry a whole bunch of stuff, but it'll keep my 14-inch laptop here, a few other bits as well, so for your little day trips, it's going to be quite nice, I think. I thought it was interesting that in contrast to a lot of their earlier gear, we actually have some quite visible branding in the form of this square tag up here. Ordinarily, I'm much more of a fan of the minimalist look, but I think they've used that same architectural design approach to this brand tag implementation, so I think it works pretty well in this case. From Coat et Ciel's perspective too, I imagine they're keen on making their brand name a little bit more recognizable, because prior to this, if an onlooker sees a bag like the Isar, they're going to have no idea where to get one for themselves or even what to search to find it. People out and about wearing these is probably one of their best forms of marketing, because you can immediately see that premium look and sort of classy appeal. These come in at 220 euros. They were released as a limited edition, but I think they're still available on the site, which to me doesn't seem too unreasonable for a very distinctive looking, undoubtedly premium and fairly full featured bag, even if it is a little bit on the smaller side. But as I said, if you need that carry capacity, the Nile is definitely the one for you. A while ago now, the relatively new minimalist technical fashion brand Nexural sent over the Fusion jacket to take a look at. Coming in at 130 euros, it's very much a functional pickup. It's exceptionally easy to wear aesthetically. It does come across a little plain, but that's all part of the appeal, because you can pretty much much wear this anywhere and with anything. The polyester merino blend means that despite its relatively structured look, it's very comfy. You'll also find at the sides as well, you've got a higher merino blend, so you've got a bit of extra stretch and lighter weight there at the sides where you need it. Mesh pockets on the inside, which again are very nice and comfy, and I found that this works very nicely as a mid layer as well as an outer layer. So you can just kind of chuck this on if you need a bit of extra warmth and then put something on over the top. It just works fine. It does look like a bomber jacket, but it's much less bulky, so much easier to use it for that purpose too. You might have noticed, unfortunately, mine has gone a little bit wavy down at the zip here. I'm not exactly sure how that happened. It might have been after washing it, because I have worn this quite a lot. So yeah, make sure you put this on a cold, delicate cycle just to help prevent the wool there from kind of shrinking or warping or doing any weird stuff. On to the final brand now, but this is a good one, something that you might have already seen on Instagram stories. Shameless plug, go have a look at that if you want to see some more cool techwear pickups. Is a Cold Wool were nice enough to send me 1 or 2 items. As you guys probably know, I've been a big fan of that brand for some time, so that was really exciting. And first of the 2 pieces they sent over is this Essentials Storm jacket. This could not be a cleaner fit with my style. It's got that very futuristic overall look. It's got the slight military reference as well with these little M65-esque pockets, but updated, of course. You've got these very clean lines. You've got these interesting little visual touches. You've got these little laser cut holes for ventilation and laser cut zips as well. All these subtle up-close elements which just invite curiosity and make you want to look at this thing a little bit closer. But at a distance, it still looks super wearable and just something you could chuck on at a moment's notice. Love this multi-layered arm detailing as well, which looks a bit like a CP company goggle lens thing, but with the lens pulled off. And of course to the chest, you've got a super premium looking and feeling a Cold Wool badge there, just to give you that bit of visible branding without it being too over the top at all. The thing that I quite like about this A Cold Wool Essentials line is that it really does embody some of that brand spirit and some of the brand's DNA with some of those interesting design touches, but still keeps it to an overall extremely wearable product. You really do feel like you've got a little bit of this, the more experimental Samuel Ross stuff, in something like this. Perfect if you really appreciate that stuff, but maybe don't want to venture into wearing those more conspicuous items yourself. The material is a fairly weighty nylon with tougher face fabric, but a smoother lining on the inside. It's quite swishy, but also fairly pliable as well, so easy enough to move around in. I've not tried this in the rain yet, but I haven't had any breathability issues wearing this, which is quite good. This does have a hood. It's tucked away in the collar here, although to be honest, I think this both looks nicer with it tucked away, and it feels really comfy as well, because that hood kind of gives you this nice structured collar that's almost like a little mini pillow for the back of your neck. Just feels good. If you are feeling more adventurous than the Essentials line though, then they also sent over these leather dirt mocks. A super unusual blend of this almost formal looking leather upper, which is almost a little bit delicate looking, and then this super rugged midsole and outsole, clearly taken straight from a trail shoe. And that performance-focused neoprene sock cuff as well. This is truly a mashing together of some totally different ideas to present something that really is quite unusual. What I will say though is these are surprisingly comfortable. You've got the neoprene sock cuff here, which gives you a little bit of, well, stretchy comfort, and the leather itself is surprisingly kind of soft and pliable as well. They do fit big though. They sent me an EU 44 and I normally wear a 46, so I would definitely say go a size down on these if you're interested. We're only going to see more brands experimenting with hiker aesthetics and gorpcore and stuff, and A Cold Wool, yes, are doing this in a very sort of strange and interesting way, but also clearly putting their own spin on it, where it's not just a pastiche of outdoor culture and, oh, we made some outdoor clothes except we made it fashion. But it's an attempt to do something different contextually, and that willingness to experiment is part of the reason why I have enjoyed this brand for quite a long time. I'm definitely going to be picking up some more experimental designs from Samuel Ross in the future. And that's the end of the bumper winter pickup episode. Big thanks to all the brands who were able to send over some interesting things that we could take a look at, and big thanks as well to Vitali for being the paid sponsors of the video. Again, this is Antwon20, discount code, go get yourself some cool interesting stuff, and you'll definitely see me wearing these in the future. Let me know what your favourite one is and if there was a particular one that you want to see a little bit more of, and if you enjoyed the video, please do give it a like because that is super appreciated, and of course, we'll be back next week with another video. Super glad to see the interest in the Nike Lab ACG stuff from last week's video. Definitely a line I would like to keep doing content on because there is so much interesting stuff there. Shout out to Mimax45 who bought the trench coat and is still wearing it to this day, so glad you're getting a lot of use out of that. And thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. If you want to catch some more, there's going to be links going up at the top. But if you haven't subscribed yet, then I don't know what you're playing at, because we've got hot, fresh techwear videos coming out every single week. Next week, we're maybe going to be looking at the Razer Zephyr mask that I've been wearing for the last month or so. The RGB gamer stuff. It's going to be pretty interesting. So we'll see you for that one.